Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. This episode brought to you by Underdog. Make picks, win money. We got a lot to get into on today's episode. Big win for the Chicago Bears as me and Jeff Meller break it all down last night on the post-game show. We got a lot to be excited about from this Bears team moving forward. Can't wait to get into this one. As always, man, today's episode brought to you by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes and they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6, I-80-94. Let's get into the show.
Yeah, where are all the Swiftie haters at now, huh?
I'm right here. But I appreciate what we saw today. Give me 2 in a row, baby. I love it. I love it.
I was talking about Taylor Swift and the new album, but fine. If you want to start with the hating on DeAndre Swift, my brother.
So was I.
DeAndre Swift's lighting up Monday Night Football and the Washington Commanders, leading the Bears to a second straight 25-24 victory.
Is that kind of a scorigami-ish?
You need what you do. You need to start a new whatever scorigami times 2 is, where you do it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
because like even in the history of football, it's very difficult to win a game in consecutive weeks by the same score, whether it be 21-17. You just don't see it. 25-24, first time apparently in NFL history that a team has ever won by that in consecutive games, because of course there was the bye week too in the middle there. But the Bears statement victory out of the bye. Ben Johnson leads his team with, defensively, they created 3 turnovers. That was critical. There's still a lot of work to be done because the Bears need to finish off some of those takeaway drives into touchdowns. But they showed a lot of resilience in this one, falling behind in a game that they felt like they had missed some opportunities, Pat, and only leading 13-0 at one point.
Yeah.
However, after falling behind, they came back and they pick up a victory with their second-string kicker coming into the fold and delivering a game-winning kick, last-second kick, after having one blocked earlier in the game. So a lot to be excited about, Bears fans. 3-2, and the Bears, dare I say, 6 weeks into the NFL season, are indeed in the hunt. In the hunt, Pat.
Oh, 100%. Listen, this was in the hunt and feeling like, hey, you've overcome quite a bit to get here. The Raiders game we talked about ad nauseum, right? Like, this was a game that the Bears did not find a way to win last season. I think you can say the exact same thing about this Commanders game. How we saw the team drive down the field, end of game, very competent play calling, might I add. It really helps in the game plan when you get some competent play calling.
Dare I say that's why you pay that man $13 million a year.
That's why you pay him the big bucks. That's why you pay him the big bucks. That's what the money is for.
Thank you, Ben Johnson.
And I just thought you saw a Caleb Williams that in that final drive, and listen, it was heavily run by DeAndre Swift there, but in the moments where you needed Caleb to be Caleb, he was able to stand in the pocket, deliver the football on time, and help you drive down the field and run the offense the right way. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a perfect game, but this was a game last season this Chicago Bears team didn't get. This is a game this season that is a statement game. This is an identity game. And I think today you went in there and you played a team that said, we're going to stand in the middle of the ring and try and punch you in the mouth, and we're going to see how much you're willing to punch us back. And the Bears punched back harder today.
Absolutely. And, rarely will you have a perfect game in the NFL. Look at case in point, the Bills playing tonight against the Falcons. They lost that game in a game that they probably should have found a way to win. And a lot of people, that's 2 losses in a row for the Buffalo Bills, who a lot of people consider one of the elite teams in the league, and rightfully so. You understand why, when Josh Allen's your quarterback and they operate the way they do, that a lot of people are, if you're like, there's a team I don't want to play in the playoffs, the Buffalo Bills might be at the top of the list. They lost tonight. The Bears finding a way to get a win in a visiting stadium, that, my friend, there's no reason to apologize. And they did so in a way where they didn't operate perfectly. And this is why I'm encouraged when I look at, there's still a lot of things that can be cleaned up. And but we're 4 minutes into the show, Pat. We haven't even mentioned the screw job that the Bears were in store for tonight with the referees. I don't tend to harp on the referees. There were some, because oftentimes you're at fault. There's some ticky-tack calls being, questioned. Theo Benedict lining up in the backfield, which even the ESPN refs analyst came in, Russell Yerk, and said, I think he's on. I don't know what's going on here, because I think he was completely lined up in an onside position there, or an illegal formation. So and that cost the Bears a touchdown.
Took a touchdown off the board. You had an opportunity. Like you saw in the second half, Caleb Williams look confident and poised and go down there and drive you down on, really from the second quarter on, 3 back-to-back scoring drives. You had an opportunity, and I think after you saw that touchdown taken away, I do think it stumbled the Bears a little bit, and they weren't able to really, okay, we got that one taken away. They come down, they take the lead. Dang it, are we going to do this again? But you gathered the troops, you rallied the troops, and sometimes it's just about digging deeper and finding a way to keep everybody connected. And in moments last season, you didn't see everybody connected. You didn't see all 11 connected at the same time. I think even down to the final play, right? Deshaun Wright, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he had a phenomenal game. I don't know who's at fault for the wide open. Was that Luke McCaffrey?
Yes,
touchdown?
33-yard touchdown by Luke McCaffrey.
I mean, so open. I don't know who was responsible for that, but I know that the DBs usually play a lot of man coverage, which means it was probably your man to be with on that.
It looked like he jumped Debo, awaiting. He was guessing for a wide receiver screen, and that's exactly what you cannot be doing in his position. He was trying to make a play, and it was too easy for Jaden Daniels to see him jump that and then obviously burn him for that touchdown, which did put Washington in a commanding position.
Yeah.
But the Bears were able to fight their way back, and a gift fumble, but in some poor weather, that's what you need to happen sometimes. You force the opposition to make each and every play, and in some rainy conditions, you know what? The Commanders were not able to finish it off as, they fumbled the ball away, and Nashawn Wright, actually, Johnny on the spot.
And that's what I mean.
He's able to recover that one, and because he did, the Bears were able to go down, and I liked the way they operated it, too, to your point. Ben Johnson calling run plays and sticking to it, right? Not settling. How many times have we sat here on a postgame show and pounded our heads against the wall, Pat, because the head coach of the Bears was willing to settle for a 50-yard field goal attempt, a 47-yard field goal attempt, a 46-yard field goal attempt. Thank you for not being Matt Eberflus. Thank you for not being Mark Trestman. Thank you for not being Matt Nagy and just settling for what is a quote-unquote makeable field goal. But we all know is certainly difficult. And in those elements today, no, Ben Johnson was going to, and hey, Darnell Wright, nice job run blocking. It was good to see him back and actually earning his keep, giving the Bears a presence on the offensive line that DeAndre Swift could go ahead, and he was very decisive tonight. He definitely earned everything that he got tonight, and the rushing totals were big, and the play of the game was probably a broken tackle that he forced, which opened up a 55-yard touchdown reception from Caleb Williams.
No, 100%. And listen, we're going to talk a ton about the players tonight. You guys already know that, right? If you listen here, we're going to give praise to these guys for going out there and getting the job done. But you got to start it off with the praise here. The praise has to go to Ben Johnson. I thought this was his best game. Complimentary play calling, running pass. Listen, he's figuring this team out as well. He's learning as he goes as well. I thought this was a game where he really found his groove with the run game. Maybe that's because of the the Theo Benedict swap in there as well. I thought they really ran the football well to the left side. Flowers to Theo Benedict. But there was really a good game plan here. I thought rushing the football, I thought you saw the best that you've seen out of DeAndre Swift. Dare I say, his entire time here. I know he's had some of these big yardage games here in Chicago. He had a few of them last season. But I don't think that there was a game where you saw DeAndre Swift run as hard as you saw him run today. He was forcing the pile to move forward and forcing the run game when there were times where Washington played it perfectly. Sometimes you just need a player to say, I'm tougher than you. And I think that's what you got, not only from Swifty, but from this entire team today. You got to give him credit. I think he really put the team on his back. And I think Ben Johnson had one of his best games play calling.
Yeah, I think, it was maybe not just running hard too, but his decisiveness, right? The decision making, the one cut, see it and go. And I think that certainly fits Ben Johnson's scheme the best when things are going, when they're operating at the best level. And so I think Swift did that tonight better than I've seen him in a Bears uniform. So that was certainly fun to watch. Let's try Rich, who is in St. Charles. Rich, you're on with Meller and Pat, the designer. J-Mac is actually getting some R&R, some much-needed rest out in after calling the game on the sidelines.
And getting wet probably out there as well.
Yeah. But he will be back with us next week when the Bears finally are back to a noon kick. But, Rich, you're on with Meller and Pat, the designer. What's going on, bud?
How you guys going?
What's going on, Rich?
Yeah, so Jonah Jackson, Tooney, Dahlman, and then obviously Bennett and Wright. Man, Swift went for 14 for 108, 7.7 yards per carry.
Yep. 2
receptions for 67 and a tutty. I mean, I know we should have probably applaud both of them for like the line and him, but where do you guys think we should focus the appreciation for the run game tonight? Because I can get used to that stuff. That was good, very good running stuff.
Listen, I think it always, and I agree with you. Like that's the best we've seen this Bears team run in quite a while here. I truly feel like this is credit offensive line, but you got to credit Swift for getting some of those dirty yards as well.
They go hand in hand.
100%. You can't
have one without
the other. It truly is, and I think this is the part about football that is amazing. And Waddle has broken this down multiple times. There is one player that can mess everything up.
Nahshon Wright.
10 other guys.
Nahshon Wright.
It could be Nahshon Wright.
But that's okay.
There are 10 other guys that do their job perfectly,
yes,
and one guy can mess everything up. And I think, listen, maybe that was the situation. I don't want to put this all on him, but dare I say the second you sat Braxton Jones down, your running game looked incredibly competent. It looked incredibly competent in the second half versus the Raiders as well. All of a sudden, it started to roll. I don't think you can say lean one or the other. You guys know how I feel about the running back position. I'd rather have my 5 linemen up front than whatever the running back's name is back there. But your running back has to be smart. He has to be decisive. He has to know what he's doing, and he has to hit the holes. And we saw that from Swifty today. And I don't think you can take credit away from either side from either of these guys.
Yeah. It's kind of a fool's errand to go ahead and say, it all goes on the offensive line. It all goes to the running back. They work hand in hand together. Case in point, look at what happened with Saquon Barkley, who was running into a brick wall year after year behind the Giants line. He had a great rookie season. After that, he could never get back to those heights. He finally was healthy one season, and when the Giants finally had a healthy line, he actually led them to the playoffs, and they went over the Vikings in the playoffs. And then they were having issues, and then you see him go behind the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line last season, which was one of the best offensive lines you've seen put together in some time. And what did you see? You saw a 2,000-yard season for Saquon. You saw him be the offensive player of the year, and you saw him lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl. And, again, here's the thing. DeAndre Swift had some success behind a very similar offensive line in Philadelphia. But guess what? It wasn't quite to the level of what we saw last year. So as much as I like this performance from DeAndre Swift, there's still better running backs in the NFL. But this is not in any way to diminish the performance that we had from Swift tonight. What you watch from DeAndre Swift was someone who was decisive and ran hard. That's all you can ask. And if you can do that with more consistency and the Bears' offensive line can create the holes that they created tonight, you saw a player – hey, there's a reason why DeAndre Swift was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
He had, running backs who are drafted in the top 3 rounds, because it is one of those positions where you look across the league and you say, you know what? It's the most replaceable position in football because you can get a lot of fast guys who can run behind good offensive lines and be productive, but the guys who are taken higher in the draft are believed to have had some type of talent. Swift has that, and we saw it, I think, on full display tonight, which is a good thing. And to your point about, Theo Bennett coming in and really solidifying that line, the offensive line is the one unit in all of football that hopefully, if you're doing it right, the sum is greater than its parts. You know what I mean? The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I don't know if this is going to be the case going forward, but I was very encouraged. We got into the bye. Ben Johnson tweaked some stuff, made it a point of emphasis, and then uses Theo Benedict as his starting left tackle. And this is going to be, barring injury, this will be the starting line, I would imagine, for the foreseeable future.
No,
because
100%.
it works as well as it does. You're not going to let it change.
No, 100%. And I think, listen, we got to give credit to the line as a total, right? Like, Jonah Jackson has struggled mightily early on in the season. I think you could say the same for Drew Dahlman. Still a little bit of a struggle snap tonight that we saw to Caleb Williams, but, Caleb, help your line out a little bit there. I think even Caleb would say they hit him in both hands. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't able to come away with elements play into that. The snap was rough, right? Those moments are going to happen. But you saw an offensive line in totality. Jeff, I don't think we've seen an offensive line that looked that comfortable all night in years. I mean, how far back do you really want to go where it felt like, hey, that line looks completely comfortable with what the defense is bringing, with how they're handling pressures? I mean, we started the season talking about how the line was still struggling with stunts and different things like that. But it truly is, hey, if you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention, because before we hit a break, and we will continue to take your calls, 312-332-3776. As always, that's the number to jump on in. But we were talking about this, or, I remember bringing it up at least, I don't know if it was the Raiders game or the game prior to that, but the offensive line in particular, the Bears invested a lot of resources in fixing the line up front. And the first two games, they did not do an adequate job. The last couple of games now, we've seen what they invested that money in, and it's good to feel like it was money that was well spent at this point, because that was going to be a huge issue, is if they had invested the money and we could not see an offensive line that could gel, it was going to be truly problematic. But the fact that you can get a performance like they did tonight against the Commanders, they can, lean into the run game, which ultimately is going to open up a lot more of Ben Johnson's offensive playbook. If they can run effectively, oh boy, get ready, because the play action, and with all the offensive weaponry that they have at their disposal, it's going to be there's going to be a lot better days ahead if they can continue to run the ball anywhere close to as effectively as they did tonight, Pat.
No, 100%. Listen, if you can create the run, I think you saw how comfortable Caleb got once the run game really started going. I thought for the most part, right, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a perfect game, but you could tell that there was a comfort level between the run and pass. Again, I thought this is one of Ben Johnson's best called games. Caleb had options out there. There were some throws that if he makes a better throw, you're in a whole different world. Like, the play probably continues. Yeah. There's some plays, like we mentioned earlier, where there's some phantom penalty calls, yes. And it was a heck of a throw from Caleb Williams, but it truly felt like I thought the Bears lost a little bit of momentum there after the touchdown call got called back. But it felt like it was a team that could continue to find their comfort zone. And we haven't talked about that very often. And I think the best part about this, Jeff, is that their comfort zone was go out there and punch somebody in the mouth. Their comfort zone was, hey, we got to play harder than a good Commanders team. This is a statement win.
Yes. Line up, smash mouth football. We're going to go down the field. We're going to run it down your throat. And then we're going to line up for a 33-yard field goal with our backup kicker, who's going to beat you despite the fact that you got one and you blocked one earlier in the game. That's okay. This team was resilient tonight, and that's my biggest takeaway from Ben Johnson, is that coming out of the bye, they jumped out to a 13-0 lead, but after having a field goal blocked, they did not let falling behind be the death knell. They came back. They win a game on the road in a house of horrors last year, as Yurko mentioned earlier.
What was that word you said?
Yes, the old house of horrors.
Horrors.
They come back. They redeemed themselves with a win on national television to beat the Commanders 25-24 tonight. He's Pat the Designer. I'm Jeff Meller.
All right, some great stuff. So exciting. As you can tell, me and Jeff are extremely excited about what we saw last night from the Chicago Bears team. We do got to take a quick break in the action to give a shout out to Underdog for being a sponsor on today's pod. Eric, it's not good, dog. Like the picks are not working out for me. Eric Ostrowski, our executive producer here on the Chicago Bears podcast, joining me on this part. I mean, maybe I'm going too big on some of these. Sunday, my picks was Mahomes. I had a 5-legger here. Mahomes higher than an anytime touchdown, essentially rushing or receiving. He ran one in.
Yes,
Josh Jacobs higher than 80.5 rush yards. Emeka Egbuka, which is the one that broke me on that one, higher than 75.5 receiving yards. CMC higher than 50.5 receiving yards, and then Ashton Genty higher than 76.5 rush yards. It's kind of the same thing for me, even in yesterday's game, dog. Like Bijan hit higher than 31.5 receiving yards. James Cook hit higher than 71.5 rush yards. Josh Allen hit higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Rome Odunze doesn't get the receptions for me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, dog.
Rome was quiet yesterday. That was surprising. I think because we're just getting this venture going, I think you've got to have less legs on your dog, man. Our underdog has way too many legs right now.
Dude,
I'm going
overdog here.
It's tripping over himself. Like,
yeah, I'm going overdog here is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Let's maybe shoot a little lower here to get going and get it figured out.
Right. Okay. Man, might have to. It hasn't been a great first day. What would you say the strategy should be moving forward? Just go less legs? Is it go easier? I mean, of course, the big money is made on underdog when you go with the taking a chance on a Stephen Curry less than 26.5 points in a game.
I think that's good, but let's not tie that to 7 other things. Like have the big money one in there, have the Stephen Curry one that has the good number on it, and then maybe put 1 or 2 smaller ones that are more guaranteed. Let's start piling them that way.
Yeah, listen, I think we got to figure this strategy out. We're gonna get it right. What are some of the picks that you think we need to be looking at here for this upcoming matchup?
I was thinking maybe we do a little something on the MLB tonight, just for fun. Because as I was on the app and on the website here, I noticed that we can get a little 30% profit boost.
Oh yeah,
we call it Boostober on some baseball stuff. So what do you think total bases? So this is only hits like so singles. There's 1 base, doubles 2 bases. So total bases for Shohei higher than 1.5 or lower.
So does a home run count as 4 bases?
That's correct.
Give me higher. I would go higher.
Let's pair that one with Jackson Chourio. Hits, runs, and RBIs higher or lower than 1.5. So a home run, he's got 3 right there. You know what I mean? That's a hit, that's a run, and RBI. So
I'm gonna say lower. Yesterday was a crazy game. It was a hard-fought game, and there was not a lot of runs scored. There was a lot of pitching.
I like that. Then you toss in the extra little 30% profit boost, and that's all we need to do, Pat. Let's
we're doing. We're keeping it
simple. And also, baseball's not a savant of mine, but I want to get playing on this, so let's start playing on this tonight.
Let's keep it simple. We appreciate Underdog for being a sponsor. You can join up with Underdog as well. Download the app today. Sign up with the promo code CBP to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code CBP. Underdog, make picks, win money. Cue the disclaimer. Must be 18 years or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or over in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Jake Moody, who comes back to kick 4 field goals for the Bears after having 1 blocked earlier in the game, which could have been critical. But I really like the fact that the Bears also did not settle for a long-distance field goal with Jake Moody. They did everything they could to make it extremely makeable, especially in those rainy conditions up in Landover, Maryland, where the Bears pick up a 3rd victory on the season under Ben Johnson. They win 25-24. I'm Jeff Meller, along with Pat the Designer, as we break down another Bears victory. They've now won 3 in a row after coming out of the bye and beating the Commanders.
Yeah, listen, Troy Aikman, how'd you like that one? That's all I got to say about that. Listen, was I alone in this tonight? If you got a chance to watch the game on TV, Troy Aikman hated Caleb Williams tonight, right?
I don't agree with that.
Jeff.
I think Troy
critical
Aikman
is different.
No.
I'm here for critical. And I'm not saying I like the booth. I like that we got Troy and Joe on Monday Night Football. I'm not one that hates the booth. but it got weird. Caleb Williams threw a deep pass. He's like, you got to throw that one short. Caleb Williams threw a short pass. I want to see him throw that one deep. Caleb Williams gets a first down. You missed that route right there. Like, it got weird at a certain point.
I think over the last decade, Troy Aikman saw Tony Romo get a stupid amount of money, and his sensibilities were he was absolutely taken aback when he saw the people lose their minds over Tony Romo, and he was like, "What is happening here?" And from that day forward, he stopped pulling punches, and I think he is the most critical analyst. And for my purposes, I think he's the best analyst doing it these days, despite the fact that Fox wants to tell me that Tom Brady knows more football than your neighbor.
Tom is terrible. Tom is terrible. Tom can't say anything.
That is insanity. That is absolute insanity what's going on Fox, and the fact that they need commercials to pretend like Tom Brady knows more football than he's actually telling us on the broadcast. If he knows football, just tell us. Anyway, I digress. I didn't really have a problem with too much of what was going on. I think if you're a little bit perturbed about the way that Troy Aikman is being critical of Caleb Williams, let's turn the fingers inward on your favorite quarterback, or maybe not your favorite quarterback, but Caleb Williams. I think he left some stuff out there that still needs to be cleaned up. And I just think that's Troy Aikman saying, you know what, I am not going to baby the guys out there. They're getting paid handsome amounts of money. They have the hopes and dreams of their fan bases on their shoulders. And so this is what's going to come with it. It's a critical eye. And I appreciate that I did not take anything overly personal, or I did not feel like he was hating on Caleb, but maybe others disagree. Maybe they did feel like their favorite quarterback was being attacked by
it felt like it got weird. That's all I'm saying.
A three-time Super Bowl champ.
I will say this too, and listen, the critical is there. You can't say that Caleb Williams had a perfect game. I thought that there was a ton of offense left out there, and some of the plays that we saw, Jeff, is the difference between. I think that 4th and 1 play is a big one, right? Now, if I'm Ben Johnson and my running backs at that point, I believe DeAndre Swift was running at 8.6 yards a carry at that point. I believe that Kyle Monungai was running at 5.7 yards a carry at that point. Mm-hmm. I'd probably say they can't stop the run. Let's turn around and hand this football off to one of these guys. You saw the massive hole that was opened up when Roschon Johnson ended up basically running through it. I would have rather seen that. But Caleb Williams off target on that throw. I thought he was a little bit late on that throw.
Yes.
And it almost ended up being an interception. Those are the throws that are going to be the difference between back-to-back 25 to 24 wins.
Yes.
And, wow, we're sitting back in the fourth quarter with our feet kicked up, enjoying a comfortable win.
A comfortable 33 to 36 20 game.
He's still got to get to that point.
Yes.
And I think that's the next part of the development here. But what I love about it is you have a resilient team that's playing 4 quarters of football for the last 3 weeks in a row here. I mean, it was, maybe 3 quarters versus the Dallas Cowboys. But you had a comfortable quarterback back there, and now it's just about, okay, make your life way easier in the fourth quarter. Take some of these gimmies that Ben Johnson's giving you.
Let's take a quick 2-minute timeout. We'll be back in 2. Mark in Phoenix is hanging on. He wants to talk about a trade he'd like to see the Bears make. We'll let you hear what he thinks about that. Meller and Pat the Designer hanging out with you after a 25-25 Bears win over the Commanders right here on ESPN 1000.
ESPN Chicago.
Your old furnace is costing you money. Call your trusted local expert, 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric for a free in-home estimate. Furnaces from $39 a month. So call today.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
Life isn't always a highlight reel. One moment everything's going your way, the next an accident changes everything. Medical bills start piling up, paychecks stop coming in, and the insurance companies try to give you the runaround. This is where Postman Law comes in. With over $3 billion recovered for personal injury victims, they deliver speed, ease, and results when you need the most. Car accident, workplace injury, slip and fall. No matter how you got hurt, Postman Law fights for you, so you can focus on getting better while they handle the rest. No upfront fees, no hassle, just real results. Getting the compensation you deserve shouldn't be a battle. That's why Postman Law makes the process simple, guiding you every step of the way and standing up to the insurance companies so you don't have to. Don't let an injury keep you on the bench. Call 844-POSTMAN now. That's 844-POSTMAN. Postman delivers. Let them deliver for you.
Here comes more pregame is coming up on the home of the Chicago Bears, ESPN Chicago, WMVP, WTBC HD2, Chicago.
Bears get revenge after the fail Mary at the hands of the Commanders last year, which put the Bears on a spiral that sent them on a 10-game losing streak. Perhaps they are in the midst of a 10-game winning streak. Dare I say it? They've won 3 in a row after they do beat the Commanders 25-24. And the schedule certainly is going to open up some opportunities for the Bears here as they come back home next Sunday, a noon kickoff where they will host the New Orleans Saints, who certainly have had some issues this season, both offensively and defensively. They did get a win against the Giants a couple weeks back, but the Patriots went right back to New Orleans and put them on the lam yet again. So the Saints are 1-5, and the Bears will have an opportunity on a short week to take advantage of an opponent that they definitely should beat. And then they will have the Ravens in Baltimore. Expecting the Ravens to have Lamar Jackson back in that, although obviously that's a little bit of ways away. But the Ravens are on the bye, but they've been decimated by injuries. So even though Lamar, I anticipate being back for that game, that's a defense that Ben Johnson, the Bears, should still have an opportunity against. And then you're taking on the Bengals in Cincinnati, and then the Giants come back. So the next 4 games are all very winnable games for the Bears. Now, 4-0, that might be getting a little bit greedy, but it's not out of the question if you take advantage one game at a time and do your work. The Bears very much could have an opportunity here to go on a little run, Pat.
No, 100%. I said that this game, before the break, I've talked about it all week on the Chicago Bears podcast, on the ESPN 1000 app and YouTube, Monday through Friday. I think that this was a statement game for you, Jeff. I think that this is the game that you can have and use very similarly to the way that the Washington Commanders used the game versus you last season. Now, do I think the Commanders are going to go on a 10-game losing streak and the Bears go on this dominant win streak? I don't know if I'm there just yet, but the opportunity is there for you to do that. You just listed the teams that the Bears have ahead of them. I think that there's a lot of very winnable games on that schedule. I think on top of that, you've got a Bears team that right now is completely confident and completely comfortable with the head coach that they have. Last season, when you lost that game, what a good head coach. You probably bounced back. Hey, okay, we lost. It's tough.
Yeah.
You hate to lose that way. But you know what? We got the Patriots next week, who literally are a dying team. We should be okay.
Was it the Patriots or the Cardinals?
No, it was the Cardinals.
Cardinals, then the Patriots. Yes, but it went
Jeff,
so sideways.
The dying team point still stands.
Absolutely.
Either way, right?
Yeah.
And you watched a Bears team that looked completely dead. This is a team right now that has a ton of belief in his coach. You see how the post-game locker room speeches are going.
Yes,
and you see,
which I think we're going to play here shortly.
You see how they've responded from having one of those losses this season versus the Minnesota Vikings. I think that this is a team right now that is completely confident in what Ben Johnson's doing, confident that Caleb Williams can put you in a position to win, and confident that, hey, if we stick with this thing through 4 quarters, we've got enough to get the job done.
That's Pat the Designer. I'm Jeff Meller. We're hanging out with you on the post-game show after a Bears victory.
Your roof's got more layers than the Conspiracy Podcast.
Is that a sandwich wrapper?
Ah, yes. Vintage 1988. It really builds character.
Avondale Roofing. Inspect smarter, dig deeper, and get to the core of your roof's health.
Speaking of the Arizona area, let's go on out to Phoenix. Our buddy Mark, who's on the line. Mark, how you doing, man?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
What's going on, Mark?
Doing
how you feeling,
fantastic. Man? 3 wins in a row. Feeling
bear down,
good.
Baby. Bear down.
Yeah, it's great, right?
Yeah.
Living the dream here. Hey, I want to know, do we trade for Jeffrey Simmons now? I mean, we're making a run, right?
Wow.
You got
that's a big move, right? Give up a second rounder, maybe somebody else, and
now.
Well, you got to make money work for
but...
Jeffrey Simmons. You can't. You're moving a player.
I don't like.
If you're trading for Jeffrey Simmons.
I love the creativity there, Mark.
They're a dumpster fire there.
They
got to give them something.
But at the same time, like that's a situation where I don't know if the Titans are going to move off of Simmons. It's almost like they're in such bad straits here that no matter, like, they're going to want to hire a new head coach in the offseason and let him kind of assess what they want to do. That one of the few,
no doubt.
One of the few bright pieces they have.
Is it worth a first rounder?
See, that's the thing is, like, I think even to kind of like get their attention, you'd have to offer a first rounder. And I don't know, Simmons, he's a monster. At the same time, dare I say, like, I think they have enough interior help. It's more about an edge rusher. Am I wrong there? I don't know how you.
No doubt. They definitely need some pass rushers. I mean,
no, they need a pass rusher.
Their acquisitions haven't been great.
I feel like they need another
interior. That's where it's at.
Yeah, listen. Whenever you can get a push up the middle, there's certainly not a bad thing. It's I don't know. It's an interesting. I think honestly, it's more likely that you could tempt somebody like the Bengals and with the Trey Hendrickson situation.
Isn't he a free agent? Can't you go after him as a free agent?
He can still be franchise tagged. It's one of those things
where created so many opportunities for them to basically do this again next year.
Yeah, that's the problem with
They got to do something on the pass rush, though. That's the number one thing right now. The back end's pretty good, but the front end, there's a lot to be desired.
No, definitely, no doubt about it, Mark. Thanks for the call. As always, appreciate you listening.
I would say this, right? Like the interior, I don't think there's a part on your defensive line that you feel great about. But can you say that it has been good enough? Can you say that it has been, with TJ Edwards back, with Kyler Gordon back today, that it was a little bit better versus the run in those important moments, right? Is this kind of what we just saw on the offensive side of it, where you need to make a couple of small tweaks, and that's going to be what you get to unlock the offensive line? Listen, at this point, Montez Sweat probably isn't living up to the value that you hoped that he was going to live up to on the contract that he's on. But in a game like today, constantly had pressure in the face of Jaden Daniels, struggled to get him down a couple of times where it felt like he had a shot at it. But I thought the tip pass was massive on third down.
Definitely.
I thought that him being able to get into the backfield and force Jaden into some of those other guys that were able to finally sack him, those are moments that you have to take into account. Like, I'm not saying that the defensive line is perfect, but is it worth you going out there and trading away draft capital to go get a piece when your defense is clicking the way that it's clicking right now as far as the takeaways? Now, I know you can't rely on the takeaways.
The second most takeaways in the NFL right now.
But you are finding ways to get the ball back to the offense. Sometimes you have to play defense by keeping your offense on the field.
Listen, I wouldn't hate the idea of if they can make a move for Jeffrey Simmons. I just think it's probably,
I love every world where we get Jeffrey Simmons.
It's probably cost prohibitive. I don't know if the Titans are really in the mood to kind of entertain that conversation. But listen, we'll see. You know what we did see this past weekend before the games on Sunday. You saw the NFL insiders float out some of the names that are out there on the block, and none of those I don't think were overly enticing names that people be like, oh, in fact, speaking of the most replaceable position in all of football, like guys like Alvin Kamara are the highest profile names that you see floated out there, because running backs are the spot where nobody's really going to bat an eye if they trade away a good running back, and at the same time, no team out there is going to find the price so exorbitant that they wouldn't necessarily be able to meet it. Because honestly, like an aging vet, like a running back, you're not going to be able to command much more than like a third or a fourth round pick in all likelihood. And every team that's in, they're like, okay, I could probably, if that's going to be a difference making spot for me, then you're willing to make that trade. But most teams don't want to part with their first or second rounders unless they truly feel like they're on the cusp of a Super Bowl. And I think that's where we get back to. This is Ben Johnson's first year.
Yeah.
And as much as I would like more pass rush, I don't think you can jeopardize your future draft assets for a player, Simmons is different, right? He's a true
Simmons is a difference maker. He changes your defense.
Which is just like when I say his name, I don't think the Titans are going to want to trade him under any circumstance.
No, he's 4.5 sacks on the season already. Last season, his high was 5. He's probably trending towards a season where he's going to meet his career highs as far as sack totals. I would think if you're even entertaining trading Jeffrey Simmons right now, you're doing it at the end of this season after he probably reaches one of those high heights totals.
Are you saying at the end of the season when the season's over?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because then I get the most out of him. I get the opportunity to say, hey, look what the season this guy had. I need first-round draft capital back for him in the upcoming draft so that I have an opportunity to, yet again, go out there and try and find – I don't know if they're going after another quarterback or if you're trying to find something to add more on the offense there.
Their issue is they need a competent, they need a
lot.
Coach.
It
starts with competent coaching, and I don't think it would serve them well to trade their best player on their roster before they go out and hire their next coach. So, and Simmons still has a couple seasons left on his current deal. So it's just one of those things where I don't think the Titans are going to be trading him anytime soon. Yeah, he's still signed through the 26 and 27 season.
I could see the Bears on the phone, and I know DeAndre Swift just had this massive game and love seeing the game that he just had. Hopefully we can see that continue and see a little more comfort in the run game. I could see the Bears on the phone still for a running back on some late draft capital because there's some guys out here where I think you could get them for some pretty cheap draft capital.
A 6th or 7th rounder, absolutely.
Like I would even say, is Breece Hall down to a 5th? Not having a phenomenal season here. Not a touchdown on the year yet.
Well, yeah, that's a product of that awful
100%.
Hey, Breece
but
Hall,
I can only pay you for what you're doing right now.
Breece Hall, he's been effective considering what they're doing with the line and with Justin Fields, who we all know that we've seen that time and time again. Breece Hall is probably, and he's younger than Kamara and probably somebody who still has quite a few good years left. So I would think if the Jets end up moving him, I would think there'd be a team out there that'd be more that would need a running back more than the Bears do. I was thinking like a backup. Like someone who could come in.
You're saying just a name that takes some of the carries away.
A name, but somebody who maybe you trust a little bit more. But we'll see because
I would say in that world, keep rolling with what you got.
Yeah, like when
keep rolling with Kyle Monunga.
Need to see a little. Listen, he needs to be given a few more shots, right?
Yeah, I mean 5 carries today, 19 yards, 3.8 yards per carry, but some tough runs. Yeah, especially in the first half of this game.
I love this caller. Jeff is in Dallas.
Jeff,
what's going on, Jeff?
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
What an incredible game. I'm really happy that the Bears and Ben Johnson both exonerated the Washington.
Phil Mary savior there.
Exactly, and Ben Johnson also lost the divisional playoffs last year as well.
Yeah.
So a couple of things I wanted to talk about. I just don't want to blame things on the ref, and I get it, but today was just incredibly questionable the way they call things with the flag. Every time they threw, my heart literally stopped, and I think a lot of people were as well because they knew that the Bears were going to get screwed there. Thankfully, they managed to overcome, and that says a lot about this year's team versus last year's team. My question, number one, is do you think Jake Moody has replaced Cairo Santos as a kicker after tonight? And also, somebody was talking about Jeffrey Simmons being traded and all that. The other thing that I probably would look at, since you guys were talking about maybe trading for running back, since, if it's going to be the Tennessee Titans with all the fire sale that they're probably going to have, Tony Pollard would be, I think, a pretty good addition. In my opinion, I think he would fit pretty well with the way that they run the ball. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, not a bad name.
Not a bad name at all.
I'll tell you what, too, Tony Pollard, who I'd have to look at his contract because, remember, I do know that the Titans signed him as a free agent. So it might be, I'll have to look at it specifically, how much he's making. But he has had, he's looked like he's had more juice. Remember, he suffered that tough injury on the Cowboys late in their season, that one season. And then he came back and never really looked as explosive as he did. I think he's finally gotten back to looking closer to the type of player that he was initially in his career with the Cowboys.
Currently
However,
on a $5.9 million deal,
so
$6.7 million next
that's
season.
pretty hefty for a running back.
Especially what you already have in Swift.
Yeah, and you're already paying Swift.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's an interesting name. I don't hate it, but at the same time, I don't think the Bears are going to allocate that type of money towards a guy who, honestly, if Pollard came here, you'd have a 1 and 1A type of situation. Because Pollard's not going to just enter into the starting lineup because DeAndre Swift, what we saw today, he's still the lead back.
Yeah.
And so Breece Hall's a little different. Breece Hall still on a rookie deal, I believe. So if the Jets end up trading,
And I feel like Pollard and Swift, like you said, 1 and 1A, like you would run them in tandem because they're kind of in the same realm.
Yeah.
Breece Hall's clearly the better running back.
Yes. Breece Hall is better than he's a harder runner. He can go through, tackle to tackle, tough runner. So he would, and that would be more of a. Now Breece Hall is a good pass catcher, and so he can do a lot of the same things that DeAndre Swift could. But that'd be almost a little more of a thunder and lightning type of. Breece Hall he's just a better runner.
Yeah.
Like if they can make that happen, I'd be very interested. And if Ben Johnson wanted to go that route, I'd be very interested because again. Ben Johnson, what we saw tonight, I'm very optimistic and excited
Show it to me next
yet
week.
again because I think there's so many more possibilities. The Bears are winning football games, and the best thing is that we're not seeing the best of his offense. There's still plenty of room to grow here, and so with a young quarterback operating well, not turning the ball over, most importantly, for all the things that Troy Aikman may have been critical of with Caleb Williams, he could not be critical of, Caleb Williams, fine. The occasional fumble. All right, whatever. That's not something I'm going to harp on. You know what I mean? Like the picks, he's not throwing picks, and he continues to do that. And so that's going to help keep the Bears in football games and allow them these opportunities to squeak out these close wins if they can come through at the right time.
Take that, Troy Aikman. To the kicker point, just the kind of...
Oh, yeah. Bring us full circle.
I can't say he's taken Cairo's job when the kicks that he was making today are Cairo kicks.
Probably, yes.
The kicks that he was making today, I trust Cairo to make. Here's the conversation that the reason Jake Moody is no longer on the 49ers. Now, again, big win today. Love it. Clutch. Those moments when I don't care what it is, in the rain, 10 yards back, I want to see the average Joe go out there and make that kick. That's a tough kick to make, especially to win the game. They're going to be going a little bit extra hard on that. But the 50-plus kicks I thought you saw when the kick got a little bit longer, kind of the result of that. It's a lower kick that can be blocked. He was 4 for 9 in San Francisco last year on kicks of 50 or more. The reason they cut him this season was because he missed, I believe, a game-winning kick of, I want to say 48?
Yeah.
So you've kind of got a similar situation to what you were dealing with last season. You've kind of got a similar situation to Cairo. Now, does he have more leg? Sure. He can kick it 60 probably, but can you kick it accurately? His long in his career is 57.
Mm-hmm.
You get the one, that's great, but you got to be consistent with it. I don't think he's the answer.
And listen, here's
a different answer than Cairo is.
See, you laid it out though. He's got a bigger leg. He was drafted in the 3rd round. You don't see kickers drafted, in the 3rd round very often.
Yeah.
There was belief that he could be a difference-making kicker in this league. And honestly, his rookie year, he kind of lived up to the billing after, I think, his first or second game in the NFL. He might have missed a kick, but then he bounced
84% his rookie year.
Okay, so what was his?
He was 7 for 7 from 20 to 29, 8 for 9 from 30 to 39. He was 4 for 6 from 40 to 49. He was 2 for 3 from 50-plus. They tried to use him in more of those 50-plus kick situations. So his second season, he ended up going 4 for 9 from 50-plus, 6 for 11 from 40 to 49.
The caveat I will tell you, though, in the 2024 season, he suffered a knee injury. And for a kicker, that's. And he tried to. I remember he tried to kick through it, And I believe it didn't go as well as they were hoping, into the point where it finally forced him onto the injured reserve. So, listen, we're not breaking down and covering 49ers football, so I'm going to have to go back. And
are you going to do a watch video of every
I'm not going to do a watch
Jake
video,
Moody kick?
But I'll do some research and I'll do some actual reading on Jake Moody and go back to some old articles. But I do remember he ended up missing some time because of a knee injury, and I think he kind of tried to rush back as well because they were having some kicking issues in his absence, and so they were trying to get the guy who they drafted in the 3rd round back. And I just think sometimes the weight of expectations can derail a career.
Sure.
If you want to no better example of that than Baker Mayfield and what he's doing. You know, the expectations of the 1st overall pick for the Browns, who, by the way, suffered a shoulder injury after having a little bit of success.
Tried to force himself back.
Played through it.
Yeah.
So football's a game of injury. And I just think for a kicker, I'm curious, I guess I will say this about Jake Moody. I'm curious, and I don't think that we'll come to a situation where if Ben Johnson asks Jake Moody to kick the ball out of the end zone, I don't think that will be a problem for Jake Moody.
No, I think he'll be able to make it.
So I think we have the possibility of a kicker controversy is what I'll say.
Well, I think, and here's the big thing. This is how Cairo got his job. Remember, it was Eddie Pinheiro.
Yep.
Eddie Pinheiro was...
who's now kicking for the Niners.
Yeah, who's now kicking for the Niners. We're full circle, baby.
Yes.
No, what was it? What was the slogan they came up with?
Eddie Money?
Eddie De Niro or something like that, or something like that. De Niro, it was
Eddie
something
Money,
like
De Niro,
that. Eddie
Pinheiro,
Money,
whatever. I don't know. Yeah,
and you know, he was making all those kicks, and he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Cairo came in.
Yep.
Cairo took that job and never gave it back.
Yeah. And
this could be a situation where Cairo kind of gets that back. And I'm not saying it's a payback situation. I'm just saying
of course.
That's how it goes. You go with the hot leg at kicker.
It's a fickle nature being an NFL kicker, that is for sure.